You don't say to mama, you don't read. Says the tracking angel. You don't boast to mama, you don't cut. Now chain you they cut. Okay, now make I use my microscope, scan a reality scan, nigga area BIAFRA phobia mentality. See, set my name the can free. One more. They don't want to hear the name of Biafra. For them is a scary name of Biafra. I love this very name of Biafra. Biafra, most I judge a bless Biafra, Chuku Kika Biama bless, conscientiousness bless Biafra, started in 1804.
Okay, thank you very much for joining me. I don't have much to say. I have a 20 minutes video to play, and I don't know if I will have enough time to play it. But before I play it, I have set it in a way it will be a little bit faster so that I will remove it from the originality and make some adjustment to the original video to avoid some clap down on YouTube or the original content. And I want to appreciate these people that owns this video. You know, I call them, what's the name of this YouTube channel? The channel is called African Profiles. Very, very good. I get most of my updates about Ibrahim Traore from this YouTube channel. Please, I beg of you, African Profiles, allow me to use this as an awareness campaign, not for any other thing. Please allow me. So I am going to play this for my audience so that we will also see what is happening. If this is true, then our foreign affairs and every other department must know how not to put our egg in one basket. Very, very important. And just listen to it. I saw it yesterday and I want to play it. Let's just listen. I may not make comment on it. I will allow you to make comments if you want to, but I just want to play it because I saw it. I think they should leave Traore alone. Now listen.
It was early morning in Ouagadougou when the alert hit the wires. Breaking: US imposes travel ban on Burkina Faso's Ibrahim Traore. No warning, no dialogue, no diplomatic explanation. Washington had made its move. Captain Traore, the young revolutionary leader of the Sahel, was now officially blacklisted from stepping foot on US soil. The news swept through media outlets like wildfire. In Washington, analysts nodded. In Paris, eyebrows raised. In African capitals, jaws dropped. But in Burkina Faso, the people cheered. In the heart of Ouagadougou, young protesters gathered, not in anger, but in celebration. They lifted cardboard signs with bold slogans. If America bans him, he must be doing something right. Traore doesn't need a visa, he has the people. To the West, it was a punishment. To Africans, it was proof that Traore had become too powerful, too independent, too unbreakable for global empires to tolerate. Inside the presidential compound, Traore received the news in silence. Surrounded by his security advisors, he read the memo carefully. No emotion, no fear. Then, he looked up and said calmly, "Good. Now, they've removed all doubt." His aides nodded. "About what, Captain?" Traore turned to the window, watching the rising sun over the capital he had sworn to protect. "That I no longer serve their system, I serve Africa." He didn't call a press conference. He didn't threaten retaliation. He didn't beg for re-entry. Instead, he did something no African leader had done in decades. He smiled. Because this wasn't a setback. It was a spark. A moment that would ignite a continent. At a private estate in Florida, far from the cameras and campaign rallies, Donald J. Trump paced furiously across a marble floor. A confidential intelligence memo lay open on the table, stamped with the seal of the US Department of State. Its title: Subject: Ibrahim Traore, Escalating Anti-Western Influence in Africa. Lines had been underlined, words circled in red ink. Rejects Western military presence. Seizing control of strategic gold and uranium mines. Advocating total African sovereignty. Trump, now a kingmaker in Republican circles and still wielding massive influence behind closed doors, slammed the report shut and barked at his team. "This kid's becoming a symbol. We need to crush that before it spreads." To him, Traore wasn't just a nuisance. He was a threat to the very structure the US had spent decades building in Africa. Puppet regimes, economic strings, silent compliance. And now, this 30-something captain from Burkina Faso was tearing it all down with a microphone, a rifle, and the will of his people. Trump's inner circle was divided. Some advisors pushed for indirect action, media smear campaigns, freezing aid packages, quiet pressure through ECOWAS, but Trump wanted more. Ban him, block him, make an example out of him. If he thinks he can embarrass us, show him what happens when you defy the West. Within days, the State Department issued the official ban. But what Trump didn't expect was the backlash. Across TikTok, Instagram, and African radio stations, Traoré's face became the face of resistance. Street murals in Mali and Niger painted him as a lion standing over a broken US flag. In South Africa, students protested outside the US embassy demanding "Unban Traoré," or ban your hypocrisy. Trump had hoped to silence him. Instead, he amplified him. And from his office in Ouagadougou, Traoré simply watched the headlines roll in and said, "They fear me not because I'm strong, but because they know others will follow." No drama, no press parade, no angry outburst. When Captain Ibrahim Traoré finally addressed the American ban, it was not from behind a row of military generals or in front of waving national flags. It was from a simple wooden desk in a small room with just the Burkinabe flag behind him and a quiet fire in his eyes. The camera rolled. His message was calm, deliberate, and deadly clear. "If refusing to hand over our land, our gold, and our people to foreign powers earns me a ban, then I accept it. With dignity." He didn't name Trump. He didn't mention the US directly. But every word cut through the silence like thunder. Africa is not a playground, and Burkina Faso will not kneel. Not to the east, not to the west. We stand upright, even when banned, even when threatened. Within minutes, the video was clipped, subtitled, and blasted across social media. "Here Traoré Speaks" trended across African Twitter. In Kinshasa, a youth activist wrote, "This is how a real president speaks, not with fear, with fire." In Senegal, a prominent radio host called it the Mandela moment of our generation. In Washington, State Department officials fumbled to craft a response. But how do you argue with a man who refuses to play the game? In Burkina Faso, school children watched the speech in classrooms. Many teachers paused to explain the meaning of words like sovereignty, self-respect, and empire. "He's banned from America," one child whispered, "but they can't ban his voice." That night, across Ouagadougou, candles were lit in windows, not out of sadness, but solidarity.
Qual è il sito che paga di più in assoluto? Facebook? Assolutamente no.
Traoré hadn't defended himself. He had defended his people, and in doing so he turned a foreign insult into a national oath. By dawn, it was no longer just Burkina Faso speaking. From Dakar to Dar es Salaam, from Accra to Antananarivo, one message pulsed across the continent: "We stand with Traoré." In Bamako, Mali, thousands gathered outside the US embassy, not in anger, but in unity. They held up placards that read, "You can ban a man, but not a movement." In Niamey, General Chiani addressed his nation in a rare public appearance. He didn't mince words. "If Traoré is a threat to imperialism, then we are proud to be threatened too." AES, the Alliance of Sahel States, issued a joint communiqué within 24 hours. It was defiant, bold, and unapologetic. "An attack on one of us is an attack on all of us. We will not bow. We will not retreat." Even leaders from outside AES echoed the sentiment. In Guinea, Colonel Doumbouya spoke during a military graduation ceremony. They tried to isolate one captain. Instead, they've awakened a generation of warriors. Social media caught fire. Artists across Africa painted murals of Traoré blindfolded, with gold chains being ripped from his wrists. Poets wrote verses that turned the ban into a badge of honor. One went viral: "He who is banned by the empire is blessed by his people." In Nairobi, students organized a Ban Me Too campaign, sarcastically asking the US to blacklist them for supporting Traoré. But the most stunning moment came in South Africa. At a massive youth summit in Johannesburg, the keynote speaker abandoned his script and simply said, "They fear Traoré because he reminds Africa what freedom sounds like." The room exploded in applause. Suddenly, Traoré was no longer just the president of a small landlocked nation. He was the symbol of a new Africa, bold, unfiltered, and unwilling to bow. It wasn't about visas. It was never about visas. Behind the scenes, far from the cameras and headlines, something deeper, more dangerous, had triggered the US ban on Ibrahim Traoré. And it all came down to one secret meeting that didn't go the way Washington had planned. Sources from within Burkina Faso's transitional government began leaking details. Western diplomats had approached Traoré weeks earlier with what they called a strategic partnership proposal. On paper, it looked like cooperation, but underneath, a trap. The offer was simple: allow US forces to build a security base in the northern Sahel. In exchange, Washington would provide support, training, and investment. All vague terms hiding the real objective: access to Burkina Faso's untapped gold, uranium, and rare earth minerals. Traoré sat through the pitch in silence. When the American envoy finished, waiting for applause, the young captain leaned forward and asked, "And if I refuse?" The reply was chillingly clear: "That wouldn't be advisable." Traoré stood, looked the man in the eye, and said, "Burkina Faso is not a mine, it is a nation, and we are not for sale." He walked out, no handshakes, no photo ops, just quiet fury. Within days, the visa ban was announced, a diplomatic knife dressed as procedure. But it didn't silence him. It exposed the game. African investigative journalists confirmed everything. Contracts had been pre-drafted. Maps were drawn. The West wanted the Sahel, and Traoré had slammed the door shut. Western media spun the ban as standard, but in Africa, it was clear. This was economic warfare, and for once a leader had said no. No to exploitation, no to pressure, no to empire. And the people, they didn't mourn the lost visa, they celebrated the return of dignity. As the West tightened its grip, the East began to smile. In Moscow, the Kremlin's intelligence briefings had already flagged Traoré months earlier, not as a threat, but as an opportunity. A young leader, anti-colonial, respected by his people, and now openly defying Washington. The script wrote itself. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov wasted no time. Within 72 hours of the US visa ban, a formal invitation was sent to Ouagadougou. Captain Traoré is welcome in the Russian Federation at any time, under full diplomatic protection. But it didn't stop there. China, ever silent, ever watching, issued its own subtle signal. In Beijing's Global Times newspaper, an op-ed appeared. The West bans voices of freedom. We host them. Behind the scenes, Chinese diplomats reached out quietly with a proposal: infrastructure development, zero-interest loans, and military cooperation, all without political strings. Traoré, never one to chase alliances blindly, responded strategically. He convened a private meeting with his defense council. "They're not helping us because they love us," he said. "They're helping us because we've made ourselves unignorable." Still, he knew this moment was leverage, the kind of moment that only comes once in a generation. Soon after, Russian cargo planes landed discreetly in Burkina Faso. They weren't just carrying aid, they brought drones, surveillance tech, and special advisors. China sent engineers, not soldiers. Their aim? To help Burkina Faso build what the West never offered: independent telecommunications, dams, and railroads. In Western capitals, alarms rang louder. Traoré wasn't isolated. He was becoming the bridge between Africa's resistance and the world's multipolar future. And while the US slammed its doors, Russia and China were building him a runway. The set was dramatic. American flags waved gently behind him. The Chiron blazed in bold red. Trump unfiltered. Africa, China, and the new threat. Millions tuned in. And in the middle of a fiery Fox News interview, Donald Trump did what no former US president had dared to do so openly. He declared war, not with missiles, but with words. This guy, Traoré, he's dangerous. He's not just bad for Burkina Faso, he's bad for our influence. He's making Africa think it can survive without us. That's a serious threat. The host blinked, unsure if he'd heard correctly, but Trump kept going. He kicked out the French. He's making deals with Russia, and now he wants to unite Africa. We need to shut that down before others follow. The studio fell silent. In Washington, some clapped. In Brussels, many whispered. But in Africa, the continent exploded. Within hours, clips of the interview went viral. In Lagos, Nigerian students marched with signs that read, "If Traoré is a threat, then Africa is a threat." In Accra, a professor at the University of Ghana tweeted, "Trump just admitted what we always knew: Africa's freedom terrifies them." Traoré didn't respond immediately. He didn't need to, because across the continent the people responded for him. Artists drew political cartoons of Trump chasing Traoré with broken chains. Memes flooded Instagram. Feared by empires, followed by nations. If Trump hates him, he must be doing something right. Burkina Faso's streets were calm, but electric. The people knew this was bigger than one man. It was now a global symbol, a leader of the South, hated by those who had once ruled the world. And when Traoré finally spoke, it was simple. If truth is now considered a threat, then I promise we will become more dangerous than ever. While Western powers plotted and pundits raged, Captain Ibrahim Traoré didn't flinch. Instead of backing down, he doubled down, with a bold new announcement that would shake the very foundations of African geopolitics. "We are building a new Sahel defense alliance. No foreign bases, no foreign funding, just Africans protecting Africa." The crowd in Ouagadougou roared. Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso had already formed the AES, the Alliance of Sahel States. But this was something bigger. This was the beginning of a pan-African military doctrine. No more waiting for French airstrikes. No more begging for American weapons. No more dependence. Instead, Traoré unveiled the Sahel Sovereign Security Program, a blueprint for joint defense manufacturing, cross-border intelligence sharing, and elite counter-terrorism training built by Africans for Africans. Satellite images showed ground being cleared for a new training facility outside Kaya. Rumors swirled that instructors from Russia, Iran, and even Venezuela were on standby to assist, but under strict conditions: no permanent presence, no strings attached. His goal was clear. Africa will no longer be the battlefield of foreign powers. It will be the guardian of its own future. International media mocked him, naive, radical, dangerous. But back home, his approval soared. Farmers, teachers, soldiers, miners. They didn't need polished policy papers. They felt it in their bones. For the first time in decades, someone was building security from the ground up. Even outside AES, whispers spread. Chad, Guinea, Central African Republic. Their leaders sent quiet envoys to Ouagadougou, asking, "How do we join?" Traoré didn't respond with fanfare. He didn't seek applause. He just kept moving. One brick at a time, he was laying the foundation for something no one had dared attempt since Kwame Nkrumah, a truly sovereign, united, and unshakable African defense. And every time the West tried to slow him down, he built faster. Washington was losing patience. The more Traoré spoke, the more the alliance of Sahel states, AES, hardened. Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger were no longer rogue states. They were becoming a movement. Behind closed doors, US diplomats launched a counter-offensive. Not with bombs, but with briefcases. They flew into West African capitals armed with promises, relief packages for food and fuel shortages, investment deals tied to governance improvements, private offers to select AES members. Break away quietly, and you'll be rewarded. The goal was simple: fracture the AES from within. In Bamako, Mali, a senior AES official received one such offer from a Western emissary. He listened, nodded politely, then handed the man a sealed envelope. Inside, a note with just 4 words: "We're not for sale." The emissary left within the hour, but Washington didn't stop there. Sanctions were quietly prepared. ECOWAS leaders were pressured to expel AES members from regional economic agreements. Media channels received coordinated talking points. AES will collapse. Traoré is isolated. West Africa needs Western help. But reality told a different story. Traoré, Goïta, and Chiani released a joint televised address. 3 leaders, side by side, wearing fatigues, their tone firm and measured. Africa is not a chessboard. We are not pawns, and no foreign capital will decide our fate.
Do this 7 minutes a day until May 19th. We start this Monday. In 1 week, you'll feel better.
The image went viral. In the streets of Niamey and Ouagadougou, citizens chanted, "AES unbreakable, Traoré untouchable." And then, the AES dropped its counterpunch. A new regional currency agreement, joint resource sharing on uranium and gold, a digital communication platform, AES Connect, to bypass Western-controlled media. Washington had tried to divide them, but in trying to break the alliance, they'd only strengthened it. They tried to isolate him. They thought banning Captain Ibrahim Traoré from the United States would bury his influence under silence, but instead, they built him a throne. Across Africa, his image became legend. Street murals in Dakar depicted him with a lion's mane. In Soweto, children wore shirts that read, "Banned in the West, born for Africa." In universities from Nairobi to Kinshasa, entire seminars began asking one question: what if Traoré's model is the future of post-colonial leadership? He wasn't just a president anymore. He was a symbol of resistance, of dignity, of a new dawn. Even African diaspora communities in Paris, Brussels, and New York started organizing screenings of his speeches, subtitled, studied, and shared. He was the subject of podcasts, documentaries, hip-hop lyrics. The irony? The US ban that was meant to erase him from the global stage had made him impossible to ignore. And through it all, Traoré stayed grounded. In one rare moment captured by a local filmmaker, he was seen walking alone through a dusty neighborhood in Ouagadougou, stopping to speak with youth repairing radios under a mango tree. One of them asked nervously, "Captain, what if they come for you next?" He smiled. "Then let them come, but they'll find out I'm not alone." Because now, it wasn't just Burkina Faso behind him. It was the entire Pan-African youth, the working class, the dreamers, the believers. Those who had long whispered about change, now speaking with full voice. They saw in him a leader who did not wait for permission, who did not seek favor, who walked into fire and came out freer. He may have been banned from stepping on American soil, but he had stepped directly into Africa's storybooks and history. It was already beginning to write his name.
Okay, good evening, Biafrans.
Shut up. All right. Wow. This is a very long one indeed. You see, the same way America, instead of trying to ban him, they have built him a throne. The same way Britain and Nigeria is trying to ban and buy an unalive man in Nnamdi Kanu, they are building him a throne. The same way Europe, Finland, and the zoo trying to stop our prime minister. He's looking at them with an odd eye, and they have built him a throne. Some of us are waiting for updates. You're going to get updates tonight, this evening. And I just checked about 10 minutes before I came live. There was no update yet from the court. So the lawyer is going to speak to us after the court meeting, after the court outing, and then we will come back and give you updates later tonight. Okay, and we'll give you the full update, not the one that Achikote Kwanu will go and cut and join. We'll give you the full update later tonight. So just don't worry. But my concern is, if this thing we listen to is true, we cannot leave our eggs in one basket. A word is enough for the wise. And then we have seen everything that's happening around the world. Tell me, is Traore committing an offense? Is Traore going against the law? Is Traore a terrorist? Why ban him? Why ban him? Why ban him? I'm asking. So nobody should tell me, don't talk, we want to align with USA. Shit, cut that crap. If we're aligning with USA, we must align with them with the truth. We cannot pretend to be not to see what is going on. And then we'll cover. If they can do this to Traore, my brothers and sisters, I am vam. So we are seeing everything. Nothing is hidden under the sun. Nothing is hidden under the sun. Nothing is hidden under the sun. Thank you, Chinedu. Chinedu just said it. Biafra is not in the gift of man to give. So our eyes must be open. Our eyes must be open. The word is enough for the wise. Thank you for joining me. We'll be back later tonight. Please share this video. I want everybody to see it. And Africa was what's the name of this our station that gave us this thing, African Profile. Please allow us to use this content. We are just awakening our people just the way you have done. Please allow us. Yeah, don't give us any wahala. Just allow us to use this as an awakening tool for our people. Our eyes are open. I can identify my beloved sister, Dr. Joy Irobi. I love you too. Precious one, I love you too. Wayoma. Biafra Jemon. Thank you, Dr. Joy. Thank you. I love you. All right, beloved. We'll be back later tonight for better updates.